In the United States, 85% of cell phone users own a smartphone. That means there's probably a lot of not-so-smartphones cluttering up dusty drawers. But before you throw those phones in the trash, well, actually don't do that, recycle them, but why not consider one of these things you can do with your old cell phones? First, throw it in the trunk for emergencies. Older phones had batteries that lasted days or even weeks. You could buy a prepaid SIM card, load it up with a bit of talk time, and leave it in your car for emergencies. Remember to switch the phone on every few months to check the battery. Why not donate it to somebody who can use it? Older cell phones are perfectly fine for making calls and using text messaging. Many people still have a use for that basic functionality. Donating old phones that otherwise work well to a Goodwill-style store or a local charity might be a good place to start. You could also take some retro photos. While you might not want to replace your fancy new smartphone with an old phone camera to take your mainstream photos, there's a growing love for pictures with a retro charm. You can try using a retro filter, but nothing lives up to using old-fashioned camera equipment. It's especially fun to take photos of contemporary things using old cameras, and an old camera phone is a great way to get started with this hobby. You can also use your old cell phone to disconnect. There's a growing concern about how smartphones are causing compulsive and addictive behaviors. The constant drip of notifications and information keep us hooked, even when we should be switching off and recharging our mental energy. Your old cell phone, incapable of running social media apps, might be the perfect vacation phone. It still lets people get in touch with you in case of an emergency, but it's not constantly trying to get your attention. So when you take your next leave, maybe leave the smartphone at home and pack that simple phone instead. You can also use that old phone to play classic phone games. It's easy to forget that before smartphones, there were already plenty of mobile games worth experiencing. Retro gaming is enormous today, but it's not limited to classic gaming consoles like the NES or old DOS games. One great example of this is Doom RPG, an excellent turn-based take on the classic action shooter. Sure, you can run these games on an emulator, but nothing beats experiencing them on the original hardware. For 5 more things you can do with your old dumb phone, check out the article linked in the description below. See you next time.